Welcome to episode 130 of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry, and with me, as always, is the one and only, the only bourbon-drinking bird that I've ever met, Mr. Swan himself. Swan, hi, buddy.
Hey, man.
Hey, how are you this week?
Pretty good.
Great.
I hope my tolerance is a little better than most birds. I think I can do it.
Nothing like seeing a drunk bird trying to get out of the bird bath.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no, that's awful. You ever seen a geese trying to fit into a bird bath the size of like a small little manhole? It doesn't work.
No, that scares me. The thought of that really terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying, I think, is the perfect word for that. So we kick off every show with Flying Blind, where I blind the other co-host or guest on the show with something. And I straight up told Swan what this one was because I knew he was going to pour it and look at it and go, this is different. And sure enough, it is. We are actually drinking the On the Rocks Knob Creek Old Fashioned, the pre-made Old Fashioned. 70% alcohol. Woo! That would be an old fashioned to knock your socks off. No, it's 35%, 70 proof. And we actually, Swan reminded me earlier today that we have had this together before. But we've never had it on the show.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
And I kind of like it. I don't dislike it.
Yeah, I know they picked a good bourbon. This one's made with Knob Creek.
Yes. Mine's gotten a little bit watered down as we've been preparing for the episode, but
yeah, I'm actually just drinking it straight.
How is that?
It's
odd,
not bad. Very citrus heavy.
I was gonna say, I imagine that the syrupiness of it would kind of come through a little bit more.
Not really. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, obviously it does take water pretty well, but it's not bad at all. Honestly, I could see you putting this in the freezer and just drinking it straight. Honestly, I mean, it's really good. And this is going to be nice because here in Kentucky, at least today, it was like 80 degrees and muggy. So
I was excited for the temperature to go up a little bit. But like I went outside and I was like, this sucks. This is miserably hot right now.
Yeah, part of my job is taking things out to people's cars over and over again. And I was like, oh, great. It's nice outside. I'll leave the door open at work. And I got about halfway to somebody's car, and it reminded me that we're in Kentucky. So it rained like torrential downpour for about 20 seconds. And I was outside for the whole 20 seconds. And it was gone. But honestly, it felt great. It's so hot outside right now.
Yeah.
Compared to normal. But I want this when it's like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
On the back porch, specifically your back porch that I sneak over to all the time. This is it.
You know, I feel like we're getting to the point, and maybe not so as much with you because you're constantly around people and having to, stock food and whatnot. But I feel like we're getting closer to being able to hang out on the back porch together and
6 feet apart. Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of nice, kind of fun. So we'll have to talk about that in the coming weeks. But before we talk about that, a couple of things to discuss up top. Thank you, everybody, as always, for continuing to listen to and download the show during the coronavirus pandemic. It is always appreciated, and we thank you guys so much for sticking with us as things. We're kind of. I feel like we might be kind of getting towards the end of this wave. It seems like it at the very least. So hopefully things can kind of ramp back up for people who were, listening to the show on their way to work or while they were at work or whatever. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of those folks come back. But I appreciate everybody who has stuck with us during this time. And I also appreciate everybody who always leaves. We appreciate who leaves a nice little review and a rating on the iTunes podcast app. If you could do that, that is a super helpful way for us to reach new people. Pushes us up in the charts, pushes us up in the algorithm of searching and everything. So if you are able to do that, if you listen on your iPhone or your computer with iTunes, if you could do that, It would help us out a whole lot. And then also, we have been streaming all of our, well, not all of our, but the past, 4 or 5 weeks? We've been streaming our recording sessions on YouTube for Patreon. So if you want to watch us, as we try to make something out of what we do every week, you can head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. And actually, these live streams are available to all patrons. It's not just a certain tier, because I know you guys, some tiers get certain things and others don't. And, I wanted you guys to have, in general, something special to get to look forward to every week. That wasn't just the pregame chats or the bonus episodes that come out every month. Which, by the way, I know I'm a little bit behind on the bonus episodes, but it's coming soon, I promise. And also the ISO sessions are coming soon as well. Thank you to Colin Cox from the Hop-Ons podcast for offering to edit those. So that's it. But we also got to talk about Swan, what it is that we've been drinking recently. I've got a few things that I have been drinking recently, Swan. What about you?
Like one thing, but just a whole lot of it. It's the Knob Creek pick that I had you try last week.
Yes.
It's gone.
It's the Coliseum pick?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's like I went from like half a bottle to just dead in a week. So
it gone.
Yeah, it's I got like a tiny little amount. I'm not proud of it, but yes, it's destroyed. Time to go get another one. It's across the street. Super excited. That'd be nice.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I also wanted to mention where I'm moving. I just got a new apartment.
Yes, you did.
There's a wine and spirits across the street again.
What?
Yeah, I'm so excited, man. And it's huge, and they have like 4 picks. I'm ecstatic.
Which wine and spirits is it?
It's a Kroger wine and spirits.
Well, yeah. But which store?
Oh, Heartland. I had no idea they had one.
Heartland has a wine and spirits.
A huge wine and spirits.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go check
Road
it
trip.
out. Yeah. No, I'll have to go stop over there sometime too. On the note of Knob Creek, though, I got just maybe my favorite whiskey package ever, aside from the time that we got the antique collection in the mail.
Yeah.
This one came all the way from Hawaii. From Don Nishida, who is, of course, one of the patrons. He's hanging out in the chat with us as well. And he sent 5 blind samples, a bunch of just goodies from Hawaii as well, cookies and sweets. And he sent over like 2 jellies as well, which I cannot wait to get into those. But he also sent over a 15-year Knob Creek pick. Yeah,
and I've actually got a little bit of it right here, thanks to you.
Yeah, so. And I think what we're going to do, actually, after we're done recording the episode, we're going to hang out on the live stream for a little bit longer, and we're gonna drink it for the patrons, and we're just going to chat for a little bit, kind of like a post-game drinking chat, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, no, if you want to do like a 15-minute live stream or so, 15-20-minute live stream,
yeah,
and we'll just drink some of this, I'm down.
Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun. So anybody, again, if you're not on Patreon, you can hop on there and you can listen to us talk about this awesome Knob Creek pick from all the way in Hawaii. But also last night I was on no less than 3 Zoom meetings.
Nice.
And all of them were drinking associated. So I woke up real hungover today. I had a real bad headache when I rolled out of bed this morning. But one was with our Facebook group chat with the folks who listen to the show. By the way, if you want to in on that at any point, and you're a frequent listener of the show, you're part of our Facebook group, let me know, and we can make something happen. It'd be nice to have like a group wide Zoom meeting where we all hang out and have some drinks together and some fun. But then also I had one with work where we just kind of had a happy hour where we all unloaded on each other because these past 2 weeks have been pure hell for unemployment insurance. And then I had one with a group of folks who listen to the podcast Do Go On, which I have talked about many times on the show. One of my favorite podcasts, period. And the community is amazing. We were talking with people from Australia and the United Kingdom, and there were a few here in the States, and then one girl was from Canada. And so it was a blast, and I had a lot of fun hanging out with that. But I did wake up feeling sad that I drank so much Elijah Craig Barrel Proof afterwards.
Yeah, that's always a decision that sounds fantastic in the moment, but then in the morning you're reminded, oh man, I'm not 21 again.
I had, maybe an ounce of ECBP left in my Glencairn. I just knocked it back. I was like, this was a mistake. This was a big mistake. It tasted good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it tasted great.
But it really upset my body this morning. We have got a lot of stuff to get to on this week's episode, which really, really surprised me. Most of it is TTB filings, but in general, there's some pretty interesting things that we have to kind of go through this week. The first one is just I get giddy. I'm excited for this one. The brand new Wild Turkey Master's Keep, the 17-year-old bottled in bond, is starting to hit shelves, folks. And holy crap.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I can't freaking wait for this product to be in my hands. I was saying to Swan that this is going to be like my big purchase for the year, I feel like. So yeah. I'm just excited. I just want it.
I am too, man. Those Master's Keep bottles are just beautiful, and I love seeing them on the shelf.
Mm-hmm. I also love seeing them in my collection.
True. Yeah, true. Having a bottle open next to what your empty glass there, it's exciting.
Yeah. I'm just tickled about it. We'd been talking about it. I guess since the TTB filing came out, and that was like the same day that the rare breed rye got announced as well.
Yeah, which there's some rumors floating around on when that might be coming out too.
Do tell.
So let me see if I can find it here. Somebody posted on one of my Facebook groups that they were in a chat with one of the Russells themselves and said that rare breed rye is apparently going to be Q3. Russell's Reserve 16 is going to be Q4.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that yesterday now.
Which none of that's confirmed, but
that's a Eddie Russell kind of speculation as well.
Yeah, so I would be excited to see those things come this year. I think that would be a good little release schedule for them.
And Q3 is only basically 2 months away. So
yeah, no, I can drink myself silly until that happens, and then walk myself over to Liquor Barn.
So it's going to be $175. Ain't chump change. It's not cheap by any means, but I think that this is just one of those where I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah, and to know that I'm likely going to see this one as opposed to some of the ones that are going to come out in November that are going to be super limited, hard to find. I look forward to this one. And I think at that price point, it's going to be hard for anyone to mark it up past $200.
Yeah.
Which for a limited whiskey is pretty, that's strange because usually you hear limited and they tack on $40, $50.
And honestly, like this is probably going to be the one, like I don't envision myself, well, also because I'm going to have a baby in the fall, but I don't envision myself being super keen on trying to find some of the LE releases that come out this year, the antique collections, well, I'm definitely getting a birthday bourbon bottle this year. But I'm not really that interested this year again. And, we said it last year, we weren't really searching for anything that was ultra limited.
No, I went to the drawings and stuff. If I win, great. But for the most part, the goal was just to go have a good time, hang out with people, because that's it. Like, you never really get to have those conversations with people unless you do something like this or you show up in a live stream of some sort. But when you go to those Liquor Barn releases and there's 400 people online, that's 400 of your people, So I do enjoy going to them, even if I don't get a bottle.
Yeah. So the next bit of news I am excited to get into, to look at. This is really cool, and thankfully we've kind of got a loose connection to it. Not loose. I mean, we very well know the people who helped make this happen. But Whistle Pig is releasing their first crowdsourced whiskey, which is called Homestock. And they've teamed up with Flaviar, and it's been created by different content creators. It's Bourbon Night. Chad and Sarah had a hand in making this as well, and it's actually not just a like their regular rye. They actually used some blending with different product or different ingredients. So it included rye, wheat, and barley, and these were individual whiskeys that they blended together. And the winning blend was blend number 3, which was 45% rye, 30% wheat, and 25% barley. I might have to just become a Flaviar member to order a bottle of this.
Yeah, and honestly, the description of the palate, and nose sounds amazing. The nose, sweet and fruity with pipe tobacco, vanilla, and orange zest, I'm assuming. While the palate brings a big hit of baking spice with toffee, with nutmeg, roasted nuts, ripe berries, and a great mouthfeel, followed by a long and spicy finish. Knocked it out of the park. You got me sold. $72.99 is the price they got listed. God, I'm gonna go broke this year, man. I'm gonna do it.
I started this year saying this was the year that I was gonna spend less money on whiskey, and here I am seeing a 17-year bottled and bond from Wild Turkey. This new Whistle Pig Homestock. There's just so many different things that I really, really want to pick up, and stuff that, we pick up for the show as well. If we're not given samples, which we are always very thankful for distilleries sending us samples. But when I'm able to see something in the wild, there's still kind of a thrill behind it, of course. Like, I still get really excited if I see like an Elijah Craig barrel proof out there. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I did want to point out also, this is great that Whistle Pig's doing this. They're going to donate 20% of its online sales on Flaviar and Caskers, which are 2 large websites that people primarily buy from, to the United States Bartenders Guild Foundation's Emergency Assistance Program. So that's amazing. I mean, I've seen plenty of YouTubers like make swear jars or drink jars or something, and then just kind of like donate that money to a local bartender, or just kind of holding it for when the bars do open back up. So this is going to be great that a distillery's hopping on board with that.
Could you imagine a swear jar for I Whiskey She Wines?
Oh my gosh. They might as well open up like a Roth IRA or just something.
Sam and Bobby would go broke if they started a swear jar. That thought makes me laugh a lot. I love that idea. But I also really love the idea of this Homestock whiskey. Like we said, it's $73. People in the Patreon chat are saying that they're kind of upset that it's only 86 proof. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's pretty on par for Whistle Pig, though. They don't really go too far.
Yeah, I mean, so this 15 year, which is actually something that I killed last night. It's only 92 proof, which is not huge
No.
by any means. But at the same time, if it's a really tasty whiskey, and even at 90 proof, I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, some of the best whiskeys wind up being lower proof, or bourbons at the very least. As long as it's kind of got the age to back it up, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I think Whistle Pig's kind of proved that their strategy when it comes to blending really lends itself to unique products, maybe not at a cask strength.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with a lower proof. Still would love to have this at like 108, 120 even, but I'm happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Next release that has been announced for the month of May is the Widow Jane Lucky 13 Single Barrel Bourbon. It's an MGP whiskey, 13 years old. And apparently the proof is going to vary anywhere from 91 to...
Just shy of 100.
Just shy of 100,
Should
yeah.
be 99.
99? Yeah, 99. $90 a bottle. 15,000 to 20,000 bottles.
So you make that face, but this is 4 years less and substantially less than the Wild
That
Turkey.
is true. I won't disagree with that by any means. I would like to know the mash bill for this one.
Yeah.
I would kind of hope that it would be higher rye. I honestly don't know. I'd have to do a little bit of digging, but I feel like there's a chance that this could maybe be a buy for me. I don't know. Widow Jane's been kind of...
No, this is not a buy for me. And this is the only reason I'm saying this is because I'm still upset that they say they pull the water directly from the creek behind them, and it says directly on here, Origin, Indiana.
Yeah, they've caught a lot of flack recently for the transparency that they've not introduced.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they could really claim at this point is they proofed something down with the water from behind them. And even then, put that on the bottle, man. That's cool. I mean, they're selling limestone water separate from regular water, and people actually do buy it, believe it or not. And put that on there, man. If you're proud of it, put it on there. I just want the transparency.
I got to pour something else while we're talking about this. In our pregame chats, Swan, you had some Buffalo Trace, so I'm gonna have a Buffalo Trace pick as well.
All right, yeah, that's good stuff, man. I'm still sipping
absolutely. Steve A in our Patreon chat said, "There's nothing wrong with MGP source bourbon. It's good stuff. Just don't lie about it." And that's how I feel too. I mean, I think that's what we've been seeing slowly throughout the increasing bourbon boom is that people are demanding more transparency. They just want to see honesty from distilleries or producers or whatever, that they are honest about what it is that they're actually putting out. And Widow Jane definitely got caught with their hand in the cookie jar on this one.
I mean, you just look at how much information they're putting on bottles anymore. People just want as much info as they can get, and when they get a very vague thing, it's just odd, you know. I mean, they're putting what floor, what rick house. I mean, look at the Booker's tag.
Yeah, absolutely.
They give you percentage wise from what floor, what warehouse, what year, all of it. People love that, including me.
And
I'd much rather have
Four
that.
Roses makes no bones about which rick house their single barrels come from. They talk about which tier and and everything, how old it is. I mean, they're all very transparent about it, and I understand that there may have been a little bit of fear, maybe with Widow Jane, that they didn't necessarily want to talk about exactly where their product was coming from. But and Steve makes another good point too. You don't have to put on the bottle where you're sourcing it from, but flat out lies. That is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
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 So anyway, that's our little spiel about Widow Jane. I would be interested in trying it. That's the thing more than anything. I don't necessarily want to buy it, but I would be curious as to what it's like. I would definitely try it at a bar. So
yeah, I'm excited about some of these other releases.
yeah, there's two finished releases that we have next. The Republic Restoratives Burrow Bourbon Batch 3. I have never even heard of this product. Have you?
I've seen it posted one time from a guy I follow that's in New York. Which is fitting because it says that it's actually only going to be available in Colorado, Maryland, New York, and Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
But what I'm excited about is we pointed out probably about 5 or 6 episodes ago, that Armagnac has kind of become this year's thing.
Has it been that long ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Golly.
And
okay.
Look at that. Armagnac.
Yeah, it's another Armagnac. Yeah. For 8 weeks, it's a 5-year-old bourbon. 75% corn, 21% rye, 4% malted barley, at 88 proof for $50 a bottle.
Yeah, and if we kind of look at this, I think this is great. And Whiskey Advocate points it out a little bit too here. Batch 1 was finished in French oak. That's exactly what they did with the old charter releases. Yeah. And then last year, we had a lot of people doing rum cask finish. Basil Hayden, you had the Blood Oath Pact 5, and a couple of others. And then this year, Armagnac. So I'm wondering what other brands are going to do Armagnac.
I'm looking forward to it. Like we've been harping on as well, I love Armagnac. I think it's a fantastic product. And seeing what kind of influence it might have on bourbon, that's so exciting. That is so exciting.
Yeah, and I like that they're probably getting some influence from this. Whiskey Advocate points this out as well. Republic Restorative's neighbor, Joseph A. Magnus and Company, also uses some Armagnac cask finish whiskey in its cigar blend.
Yes.
If they're drawing any inspiration from that cigar blend, the one time I got to try like a half-ounce sample of that thing, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in picking up a bottle of this, especially at a decent price point. $49 for a 5-year-old bourbon doesn't seem ridiculous. So
yeah, I mean, but I don't think it's just that it's the fact that it's $50 for a 5-year-old. Excuse me. It's also the fact that it's $50 for a finished 5-year-old bourbon in an imported cask, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's definitely come through, different channels of sourcing and purchasing and whatnot. But I understand the price point on this. But I can also understand why people might not be as happy about it, because it is $50 for a 5-year-old bourbon. But at the same time, if you look at products like Old Fitzgerald, they're bottled and bond right now from Heaven Hill. They're basically doing $10 for every year. So, if it's a 10-year-old product, it's $100. If it's 16, it's $160, $9.90, So I kind of am on board with this pricing scheme. And I don't mean scheme in a negative way. I just mean like this is how they've kind of maneuvered their way through their pricing. I get it. But I can also understand why other people might not be as into it.
Yeah.
But the next product is also a finished whiskey. This is a finished rye from Chicken Cock. This is actually a product that I got to talk to their master distiller, Greg Snyder, about when he was on the show a few weeks back. This is a rye finished in Goodwood Brewing's Blonde Ale, and it was finished for around 5.5 months. This is also a 95.5 rye. Holy crap.
Yeah, and I am pumped for this.
Me too.
You sent me, I saw this the other day, and I actually ended up finishing my Chicken Cock rye sample that I had.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is such a good base to play. to be honest, and I'm pumped for it because I did get to try the Goodwood Bardstown Bourbon Company release, and I really enjoyed that. And I'm not a beer drinker, so I that was kind of new, uncharted territory for me to kind of do a beer finished anything. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, and what else is cool about it is that, and again, this is coming from Whiskey Advocate. Those beer barrels had started their lives holding chicken cock bourbon before they were being used to age their beer for 8 weeks. So, as Whiskey Advocate says, their use for finishing the rye neatly closes the circle.
Yeah. There's only one other person I've heard that's done this, man. And we got to talk to him at Bourbon on the Banks. You remember Bluegrass Distillers was doing this with their ale?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Their ale finished?
Absolutely.
And I loved that. It really just feels cohesive and like together. So I'm excited for this one, man. Beautiful bottle too.
Oh, I think it's gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to it. We're gonna jump down to another rye that is being released this month. Baltimore Spirits Company Epoch Cast Strength Rye, Straight Rye Whiskey, batch number 3, 3 years old, 115.4 proof. There we go. I can do math. $60 a bottle.
It's hard, man.
There's only 210 bottles, and it's for sale at the distillery only.
Yeah.
This is cool. I wanna try this.
And it's selling me on it too because it's the Master's Keep bottle.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got it going on, man.
Ah, Look at that.
But look how dark that is.
It's
for a 3-year-old.
Incredibly dark. And knowing how they took this picture, so this is not a photoshopped picture by any means. I mean, the only thing that they've cut out of this image for the promo image, I guess, is the background, and it definitely shows how dark it is, even at 3 years old. But I mean, 115.4 proof. I'm just going to keep bringing up the fact that I was able to do that math so quickly because I'm proud of myself for it. But
that's great.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited for it. I mean, it says it's the distillery offers local delivery. I wonder if I fall under that category. We'll see if they can ship it to me.
We can get somebody to drive locally from Maryland all the way to Kentucky.
Oh, I'm not even doing that. I'm just going to call and see if I can set a P.O. box up next to the distillery. Just drop it in the box. I'll be up there.
So how long do you guys hold P.O. boxes before somebody actually comes and picks up the product? Robot Scott in the chat, though, said he's in Baltimore. So, hey, Robot Scott, can you help us out?
We'll be talking, sir.
We will most certainly be talking. I want to try this for sure. Well, that does it for the news. We have some TTB filings that we will get to this week, as we had talked about previously. I almost said privately, but we talked about it on the show. There are 8 different TTB filings that we have to go through this week, which is a huge step up from 0 last week. First one, I can't wait for it. The Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Yes.
Still hanging at 94 proof. Understandable. That's kind of where they hang their hat. But oh my gosh, I cannot wait for this.
I know I'm asking a lot. I want to do pics of this.
Oh,
I want to do a pic of this.
A barrel proof pic?
Hey, but that's the thing is, if we were to do the pick, we would get it to barrel proof to try.
Well,
initially,
yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, you got me pumped up for the toasted barrel thing.
I think that this is really exciting.
It's going to be fun. I'm curious about the availability, but I think it'll be very, very interesting.
Well, I imagine that they're going to roll it out in the same way that they have with the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond and the Elijah Craig Rye. I mean, I don't imagine that they're going to stray too far from that model, but at the same time, I mean, it's Elijah Craig bourbon. It's not Elijah Craig rye, which is, which was an untested product, I guess, in the Kentucky market. So if you're, go ahead.
What's their release strategy? Taking 5 darts and throwing them at a door, like a board? I mean, it's just what.
Well, if you remember, the reason that they did the rye in those areas was because they were trying to the bartenders or the really popular bar markets across the United States.
That's right.
So, I mean, there is a chance for that to happen with this, but I don't know if it's going to follow that same model.
I can't think of anywhere that would specifically need toasted barrels as opposed to non. I think this is just kind of a across the way thing. Like everyone wants it.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not?
Oh,
toasted
I want it.
Barrel, Elijah Craig. I mean,
I'm all about it.
That's right up my alley, man.
I am all about it. I'm so looking forward to it. Also, in terms of some toasted products.
Oh, yeah.
This one is from Maker's Mark, and it's part of their wood finishing series. It's going to be the 2020 limited release, and it's going to be a marriage of virgin, toasted American, and French oak staves. Tasting notes, according to the label, barrel finished for amplified notes of vanilla, baking spices, and creamy caramel, with a proof of 112.5. No word, of course, on the price, but I want to try this in a real bad way.
Yeah, I mean, if it's following the RC6 thing, you'll see it anywhere between, like 65 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm excited. Also, though, can we nail down a name, please? I mean, RC6, SE4, PR5. Are we naming Star Wars units, or are we, like... Are we talking about bourbon? Like... I need to know. But no, I am excited. Really, really digging the toasted finishing that they're putting on.
I am too. Maybe they heard what we were talking about on the podcast with Greg Snyder, and they were like, "We need some of that."
Go ahead, man. Hey, Greg Snyder, thank you, man. Bringing this to the market. I'm fine with that.
No, I'm really looking forward to trying this. I liked the RC6. I know that there were some people who just thought that it was whatever, but I'm interested to see how this one turns out.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of revisit that for a second, to be honest, because I thought the RC6 was just too fruity, didn't really care for it. I had it probably about 2 weeks ago. I went to my in-laws' place or future in-laws' place and they just had a bottle of it.
Really?
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm not going to turn that down. I got probably a good 2 rocks glasses, pours worth of it in. It is so good, man. It is so good. There's a bottle across the street marked up a little bit. I'm actually considering it because it's darn good.
I've got a little bit of a sample left of it. Our buddy Dustin, who's in the chat as well, gave me a sample, I think, towards the end of last year. And I actually just looked down to confirm that I still had that sample. So I'm gonna maybe get into that after we're done here tonight. This next one is a head scratcher. I don't know.
Yeah, what am I looking at?
I don't know.
Here?
I honestly do not know. This is the 16th edition of the Woodford Reserve Masters Collection, and it's got no information.
Other than it's very fine, rare
and
bourbon.
It's 90.4 proof, which is the exact same proof as their regular product.
Did they just do a pick? I'm assuming, is that what this is?
No, this is the Masters Collection.
I know, but I mean, like, is it just a pick of the regular one in the different bottle?
I don't know. If so, that's so upsetting.
Yeah.
Could you imagine just the worst distribution? What if it's a short barrel too? What if, like, it if uncut, they had like 70 bottles and they cut it down to 90.4 proof and they wound up with, 90 to 100 bottles spread across the entire US? Like, what's that about? That would be.
I don't know. This is a little disappointing. I'm not going to get into it, but they recently picked up a small bit of a bad PR, and I don't know how this is helping it at all. It's just strange. I'd be curious to see if it's worth the price that they're going to ask for it, because this is not going to be 30, $40 like the normal little bit. So I'm
Right.
I'm curious.
So moving from no news to, well, I guess no information to some really, really cool information. Uncle Nearest is going to be putting out the Nathan Green 1870 Premium Whiskey, which is 15 years old and bottled at barrel strength. So it's going to be 114.8 proof.
Woo!
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
I am too. I mean, we've been very fortunate to, develop a relationship with the folks at Uncle Nearest, and Fawn Weaver is a wonderful, wonderful person. She's been on the show multiple times at Bourbon and Beyond, and I'm really, really looking forward to trying this out. Again, though, it's only available at the distillery.
That's true, but we've got some friends down in Tennessee. I think we can make this one happen. But I am pumped for this one. I mean, it's a 15-year-old that's got that process that's real distinct to them. So that'll be nice. What was it here? It's distinctive maple charcoal filtering. So that'll be an interesting thing. I'm looking forward to it, man. I've not had a bad product from them.
I really haven't either, and I just always look forward to new products from Uncle Nearest. I think that they're doing really cool things with some of their whiskey. Speaking of really cool things, oh boy, okay. I don't want to get too excited about this because it's, but I'm also real excited for it.
Yeah. You should be.
This is the newest Last Drop release from the Last Drop Distillers. This is a Buffalo Trace bourbon that was distilled in 1980 and is bottled this year. The back of the label says, this bottling of a Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey was distilled at the Buffalo Trace Distillery in 1980. It matured in virgin American oak for nearly 20 years and then lay sleeping in a corner of the distillery until the Last Drop Distillers discovered the parcel, which now makes up a rare and irreplaceable release.
I'm pumped. Also, where's this corner, Buffalo Trace? I've been on a tour like 4 or 5 times, and I've yet to find this corner.
Is it Harlan Wheatley's office?
Dude, could you imagine? I like to think that he's got like an office with a bookcase behind it, and he's just sitting in there with samples, and then you pull a certain book, and the whole thing rotates, and it's just like 15 little vats.
Ooh, yes.
I'm
about that. There's only going to be 240 bottles.
It's true.
90 proof.
But they've done this before with one of the Last Drop releases that was from Buffalo. Like 30 or something. It was low. It was in the hundreds. But it was just like, again, something they had aged, placed in a vat that was basically like stag product, and then they finally released it. So I know I won't see a bottle of it.
Ooh, but I don't even know how to get a bottle of this. Like, what store am I going to find this?
I have no clue. And if it's not one I've been to.
No. The back label is also kind of making my mouth water a little bit. It says, this vintage bourbon is unforgettable. The color is a rich golden mahogany, and the taste takes us through a symphony of harmonious flavors. It is truly a memorable and extraordinary experience from the last drops of the past. One to savor and to share. This is cool. I mean, just straight up. People are speculating in the chat, by the way, of what the price on this is going to be. Nick said $2,000.
I'm gonna need another stimulus check if I don't know about that one, man.
I shouldn't have even touched my first one if I was trying to buy this one bottle. Honestly, though, as much as I would like to, of course, own a bottle of this, nothing could convince me that spending that much to own one bottle.
Yeah, it's good, but at that price, I feel like personally I would make it more of a collector's piece than a drinker. What on earth is this next TTB filing, Perry?
What on earth is it? I don't know. I really don't know. Part of it kind of makes me feel like it's a single barrel pick, but I don't know what's going on here. So this is from the Single Malt Whiskey Society. This is and I know that this is, not bourbon, of course, but this is a product that is from Highland in Scotland. It was distilled on the 22nd of April, 2014. It is apparently I can't do math that quickly. 123.6 proof. Wait, no. 122.6 proof. So it's 5 years old, and this is called Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know, man. I think it's interesting though. I don't usually see Scotch this high, so
either.
That's fun in itself. But the Baby Yoda name, I don't know. I don't know what part of deceptively mature and pure of heart with salty notes reminiscent of raw green olive and brine makes you think Yoda. I'm all for the fun names, man.
I am too. And I mean, if it's just a single barrel pick and they're trying to invoke certain things, that's fine. It's just like, what is happening here? Do you really want to get a cease and desist from Disney?
That's a strong no.
Yeah.
Even on their current break, I don't think I would want to do that.
I love that. I love the tasting notes on this too. Deceptively mature and pure of heart with salty notes reminiscent of a raw green olive in brine.
Yeah. No, that's...
Which is exactly what I want from a whiskey. Could you crank up the brine a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, there is something to be said about that, though, because I know that, like, even some of the reviewers I've seen on Scotch, they'll be like, oh, it tastes like iodine. And I'm like, why on earth would you want that? If it's a tasting note you prefer, I guess there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not for me.
We got another Whistle Pig product up next. This is really cool. They're doing some bottled cocktails. I've seen that there's going to be an orange and a ginger variety as well. But this is a barrel-aged smoked old-fashioned. It's a Whistle Pig piggyback rye whiskey and pure maple syrup smoked with pecan wood. Now, I want to talk about something for a second that I dream of often and fondly. And that is the Whistle Pig maple syrup.
Yep, I was about to go there.
That Nate Woodruff let us try at Bourbon on the Banks last year. And I peed a little when I read that. It's just exciting to see that they are doing something that's going to be a little bit more available, I guess. It's only going to be in 375s, and it's going to be 70 proof. So basically, the same thing with the On the Rocks Old Fashioned with the Knob Creek, just with some maple syrup.
I'm excited for this. I did finally get around to tasting some of, and Ian brings this up and has before, the tomfoolery finished in the maple or in the syrup there, but I liked it. I really did. The tomfoolery stuff. This seems like just a cocktail version of that. And after having that maple syrup, I could drink that stuff. I could go 100% Buddy the Elf on a whole bottle of that. I could. So this seems amazing. I'm curious to see what the price point is. And it looks like it's only going to come in 375, so at least based on the TTB label. So it'll be a little bit smaller. But so is the On the Rock stuff. So that'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm just interested in general to just straight up try this. I mean, really, I don't have I don't have any reservations about giving it a shot. Our last TTB filing for the week is Hell's Fork Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I don't know anything about this label.
No.
It doesn't have an age statement on it, so I'm assuming that it's 4 years old. It says it is distilled and bottled by Hell's Fork Distilling Company in Bardstown, Kentucky. Doesn't make much of a difference to me. I mean, it could be Heaven Hill. It could be Barton. I honestly don't know.
Who knows?
But have you seen the size of this bottle?
No.
It's 50 milliliters.
Okay.
This is a TTB label for an airplane bottle.
That is odd. And I think the thing that's even stranger is you look at it and they give you all this information that has next to no meaning. This is recipe 68, mash bill 9, approved by, what is that signature? I
don't know.
Also, distilled, cast aged, and bottled in Kentucky by people who know bourbon.
What does that mean? What are we doing with these people? I'm interested in trying it. I'm assuming it's just sourced Barton juice, to be quite honest. Yeah. 90 proof. Great. I don't have anything else to say about that. I just don't know what to make of it, honestly.
I mean, if I see one, I'll pick it up. I'll definitely try it.
Yeah, especially in a airplane bottle.
Yeah, for a 50 mil. I do think it's kind of interesting, though. It's almost like a tester. I'd like just to see if what they're doing is good enough. Because I have to imagine if you source some product and put it out in 50 mils, you don't have a ton of money invested compared to like Castle and Key.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just dipping your toes in the water kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that does it for the news and TTB filings for the week. We have a really cool side-by-side that we're doing this week. It's two younger-aged products from two different distilleries. And I picked up one of these today. Swan, you picked up the other one. We talked about one of them on last week's episode.
We did.
And I didn't expect that we would find it so quickly.
No, and it was kind of just by accident. Somebody posted a picture that we know. It was Chad, and then he just said, "Does anybody know anything about this?" And we're like, "We just talked about it. I'm on my way." So we went and got one today.
All right. Well, I'm excited to get into this. I don't think it's necessarily going to be a review. It's just going to be a comparison between to these two different products. The first one is the 2-year-old Hotel Tango American Straight Bourbon Whiskey. We talked about this because of how beautiful the packaging is, and just how it's so unique. It's so cool. I'm showing it to the Patreon chat. It says, bourbon ready to drink, high standard issue, purpose of contents, to be served and consumed in, I'm trying to read this, I can't read that, in pursuance of elevated company morale. I'm going to post a picture of this on social media this week as well. It's got this side up for storing and this side up for pouring, which I love. It's 90 proof. Like I said, it's 2 years old. But I don't know about this. I've never had this before. Swan, you had a little sip of it earlier.
I did.
So we're gonna find out. about this together. Some folks in the chats are actually talking about this. Brian Brennicky seems kind of excited. He says the Hotel Tango 2 bar is 5 minutes from his house.
Yeah, and it is worth pointing out that they have two bourbons that they would probably consider like a flagship product. There's the Reserve, which I looked at earlier today. There's some of that.
Yes.
We may review it at some point. And it's a 6-year wheated. It is a little pricier. It's coming in around 50, 60. This one is a little bit, it's substantially cheaper. It's about half that. So this is a 2-year, since we're going with kind of the younger bourbons.
Brian's also said in the chat that it's local and it's terrible. That gives me lots of hope. I want to read the back of the label as well. It says, description, aromas of caramel balanced by rye, best in a cocktail, for example, an old-fashioned. So maybe I'll have to try that later as well. Directions, drink responsibly, behave less so.
I do like that.
I like that a lot. And to give you guys an idea of what the other one that we have up against it, it is the newest release from Pinhook, the Bohemian Bourbon at 114.5 proof. It's slightly older at 34 months, so just shy of 3 years. I don't know what to expect from this by any means. I know that people have been reviewing it and talking about it, but I have not watched or listened to anybody who's reviewed this product, and so I'm just excited to kind of get into it. I will say that for it being a almost 3-year-old product at 114 proof, it is significantly lighter than the Hotel Tango is. I mean, like 2 shades lighter than the Hotel Tango. So I don't know. I think we should go ahead and get into it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I've actually poured them side by side. So
I did as well.
Compare if we want.
Yeah.
Which one you want to go for first?
I think we should probably go low proof to high proof, just for the sake of, try not to overdo it and burning our palates out. I will have a sip of water, though, so I can make sure to kind of cleanse up a little bit. All right. So this is the Hotel Tango American Straight Bourbon Whiskey, apparently from Indianapolis, according to Brian Brennicky, at 90 proof.
So first off, like I've noticed that it's not overly corny, but you do get some of that like green.
You get whispers of corn.
Yeah, it's there.
Patrick was asking, what is the normal MSRP for the Hotel Tango? $26.99.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I paid for it today.
It's sweet. I mean, it is a sweet nose. It's kind of getting towards cotton candy, a little bit, but not so much that it's overpowering some of the barrel influence on the nose. I mean, I'm still getting some notes of like charred oak on the nose.
Yeah. I just went in for a sip. It's surprising. I'll see what you think about it. What's your impression there?
Swan?
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
I'm not too mad at it.
I don't mind this at all.
For $26, this is not bad. And Brian pointed out this used to be a $50 bottle. So
that finish is wild.
That finish is strange.
Whoa.
Yeah. This at 90 proof is interesting. I'd be curious to see if they were to do a cast strength release where this would sit.
If it were barrel proof, I feel like it might be
almost too much.
Almost too much is exactly what I was about to say. I feel like this. We talk so often about, what bourbons would be like at different proofs, but I feel like this is an indicator of, it's very well curated for its proof. I think that 90 proof with this This is shocking. As a 2-year-old 90 proof bourbon. Holy
I'm not mad at
moly.
it. I will say that I do kind of want the nose to live up to the palate a little more. The nose is real sweet. The palate is not.
The palate is really dark, and especially into the finish, it starts to get into like these like praline notes.
Let me go back for that one.
Yeah, take another dip into it, but
this is real tobacco heavy for
me.
It
is absolutely, but I think that there's a kind of that balance between savory and sweet towards the end of the palate as well. Into the finish.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. It is surprisingly heavy, like as far as being viscous. And really carrying around like some tobacco notes. And to be honest, this is reminding me of like some New Riff single barrels I've had.
I have to agree.
Yeah,
I'm totally in agreement with you on that one. This is, I haven't had a bourbon on a first try in a while that has gotten me this excited. And this is 2 years old.
Yeah, is this their own product? I need to look this up. And Brian, if you know, feel free to dump this in the chat.
Yeah, please do. I mean, produced and bottled by Hotel Tango in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah, so it's their own product.
It's the first combat disabled veteran-owned distillery in the USA. That's incredible. How cool is that? Dang it.
Yeah. And Brian pointed out this bottle, but at this price point, I think this is approachable and good. I do think there's some things that can be improved on, but you're a new distillery. You're going to learn. You're going to put out products that, maybe not fantastic, but this is a great first swing. I'm just as excited about this as I was some of the local distilleries.
Brian said these are in 5-gallon barrels.
Wow.
That's the best 5-gallon barrel bourbon I've ever tasted. Hands down, the best small barrel bourbon I have ever tasted.
Yeah, so this is definitely like the best smaller, like under 53 gallon I've had. Because I've had, I think, well, what's the one in New York that kind of just started that whole small barrel craze? It was
Kings County?
No, it was the small, squatty one.
Oh. Hudson, yeah.
Hudson's not good, man.
No, Hudson's yeah.
It is not good. Kudos to them for really starting a good movement there in New York, but at the same time, Hudson is not my favorite.
Thank you. Everybody in the chat was letting me know that it was Hudson.
yeah, and honestly, so what really sold me on Hudson not being my favorite is I found out that they had a very limited release called the Double Charred Hudson. And I think that was the wording they used, but they had a small warehouse fire and it charred the outside of the barrel and they bottled it.
Come on. Come on.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and they sold it for a good markup too, man. But this is impressive for what it is, man. I really
agree.
I want to reach out to the Hotel Tango guys. They've got quite a bit of product other than just the bourbons. They've got a gin, a vodka.
They know that we were talking about them on last week's episode. I mean, they are fully aware that we are aware of them. So I wanna try to do something with them in the future, whether or not it's being able to meet up with them for an episode or trying to some kind of collaboration. I feel like I think this is exciting. I get excited when I drink this bourbon.
Yeah, no, it's good. That being said, I want to try this in a cocktail.
I absolutely do.
I'm going to mess around with this a little bit. I know this is not probably the cocktail, but I still got a little bit of the cocktail you got me here.
Mine is severely watered down. I'm not even going to try to mess with it at this point.
I'm going to mess with this a little bit because
You mess around, Swan.
Dude, their page is all cocktails.
It is.
And usually when I see, and I'm going to give them credit on this too, when I see Great cocktails on a bourbon or anywhere on the bottle, it's a red flag for me if I'm drinking it straight. So that this being able to stand up as a standalone bourbon and them recommending it in cocktails is it's impressive. It really is.
I don't know if I have the words to describe how much I'm enjoying this experience. Yeah, you messed up there, didn't you?
No, it's actually.
You didn't. Oh, okay. I might make a little bit of an old fashioned with this later, just to see.
In this,
I've got some leftover Buffalo Trace old fashioned mix.
Okay.
I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit, but dude, I don't even. Part of this is just like messing with my brain, kind of in the same way that the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof A120 did, where it's like, how did this even happen?
Yeah.
How did this become a thing?
I think this needs to be a little more widespread, and it seems like there's some discrepancy in price depending on when you're at. But I mean, I got this at Liquor Barn today down the road from me, and it was $26.99.
I after a couple of sips, I think that it would maybe benefit a little bit from being higher proof. But at the same time, I ain't mad about this in the slightest.
Not at all, man. We bragged quite a bit on their packaging last week, so we don't really need to hit it home on this week as well. But no, kudos to them, man.
But like, I mean, if you are looking for if you're looking for a bourbon where you can actually judge what's inside based on the cover,
judge this bourbon by its cover. Yeah,
this is. I'm keeping this one stocked. Yeah, honestly,
I'm about to go buy the reserve bourbon.
I don't blame you. I'm looking forward to trying that one as well.
Yeah, we'll try that one upcoming soon on something.
And Patrick said he might just pick it up to support veterans. I mean, that's even better. Like there's just that added layer of awesomeness to this brand.
Yeah. And Perry and I discussed this a little bit earlier today. I mean, we've been talking about how you should support local distilleries and stuff.
Yes.
Maybe we were doing like a extended episode of just craft distillers. Mm-hmm. Even if you guys wanted to send something in that was local to you that you just wanted us to kind of support, absolutely. We'll try it on the show. And
speaking of another craft distillery, we should try this Pinhook here as well.
Ooh.
Oh.
I don't know about that one. I just got used to how dark that other one was. And this one, woo, that's left field, man.
That's corny. Yeah. That's the youth is definitely coming through on the nose of this Bohemian bourbon.
Yeah.
It does not smell like it's 114.5 proof.
It doesn't. No, this is reading more like it's 90.
It doesn't even smell like it's 90. It smells like it's bourbon that has sat with an ice cube for a while. Like it smells watered down, even though it's supposed to be, according to the label, high proof bourbon. It says it. It says it on the label. High proof bourbon. You good?
So I'm not going to say anything about the flavor just yet because you're about to find it out. But I'm going to walk you through the experience I just had. Have you ever seen rubbing alcohol just spread out across the table and watch it dry up super quick? Did that not just happen to your tongue?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the strangest mouthfeel I've had on a bourbon in a while.
Woo! That is heat.
Yeah.
That is a heat bomb.
Yeah.
I like the finish.
The finish is interesting. It's really interesting. I'm having a hard time nailing down what it is, but it's like clovey.
It's clovey and nutty. I mean, yeah. It's definitely got a nutty quality to it.
Yeah, and I think I made some faces, but this is honestly my favorite Pinhook release I've had. But it's still not great. I've kind of really dug into a lot of the Pinhook releases.
I might have to, not tonight necessarily, but I might have to go live and compare this to the other high proof one that came out last year. I don't dislike this. I'm just confused by it, I guess, at the moment.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's really hard to pin down what the flavors are. But the like alcohol just evaporating feeling, it is wild because it's basically like you nose this bourbon, you take a sip of it, the palate's super short, and then it just rolls over into the finish. But the finish is super nice. I mean that is I can't complain about it.
You know, we were talking about the brininess earlier of that single malt release.
It's got a little bit of that.
It's got brininess on the nose. I mean, it smells like the ocean. And I'm trying to dig a little bit deeper. It's got some dark, nuttier notes on the nose, but I don't think the nose is that good overall. I think the palate is bizarre.
Palate's bizarre. The mouth feels a little. It's odd, but that finish is it's not bad at all.
It's the mouthfeel is coarse.
Yeah, I could get that. And now that I'm thinking about it, you remember the moonshine that we tasted at Bourbon on the Banks that got offered to us, and we tried it.
Yeah,
and it was super good.
Who was that?
I'd have to go back and listen to it, man. But that guy was so nice, and he was telling us that he's like, "Oh yeah, we've been doing it illegally for
it was Neely. It was the Neely family.
Yes, best moonshine I've ever had. That being said, this reminds me of that, and
so you've never had my father-in-law's moonshine?
No, need to.
Apparently. Yeah, it'll change your life.
Yeah, but this is good. It's just, man, I need more age on it. It's like it's building. It's got the building blocks. It's got the final step, which is the finish. It just needs those first two more.
I honestly love the finish. I think it's really, really enjoyable.
Oh yeah.
But everything else is just kind of falling flat for me. And it really does not sit well with the price.
What's the price on this?
I got this for $56. Woo. I think. Maybe it was closer to 50. But either way, it's essentially twice as expensive as the Hotel Tango.
See, and that's rough because this is aged more than the Hotel Tango.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say at that point. I mean, it's indicative of the fact that, age is not everything. Proof is not everything. But at the same time, how often have we reached more for, Granddad 114 over Granddad Bottle and Bond? Mm-hmm. In this case, though, if I'm looking for something that is more enjoyable, I'm gonna go with the Hotel Tango.
Me too. Yeah. No, I am not mad about the Hotel Tango. Even though I got harassed by the lady at Liquor Barn about not buying Kentucky bourbon, I would go back and buy another bottle. So it's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's good stuff, and it hurts me because this is from my hometown. If we're supporting local, I'm doing the wrong thing here, but it's all good.
You can support craft. I mean, craft is okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm supporting small business. It's just not one close to me.
There you go. I'm gonna try both of them in the same glass.
Oh, you're gonna mix them?
I'm gonna mix them. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Oh, okay.
See what shows up here. I think what I've kind of garnered from this, though, Hotel Tango has got something really cool.
Yeah,
with this 2-year-old rye bourbon. I would be interested to put this into a blind flight with somebody.
I will say, just doing it side by side, now that I've gone back to the Hotel Tango, the corniness does show up a little bit. That's to be expected with a 2-year-old bourbon.
Right,
man.
But I also think that you went from 114 proof to 90.
Yeah, no, I've definitely killed off some ability to pick up some nuance. So it's that's on me. It's not on Hotel Tango.
That is fair. That is fair. Well, it wasn't really a review. It was just kind of a what do we feel about these two whiskeys? But I think that kind of wraps up that portion of the show. We've got lots of questions this week too.
We do.
We've got some questions. But you can ask us some questions on our Facebook group at facebook.com. You need to search for This Is My Bourbon group, and we would be happy to answer your questions on air. Our first question comes from Patrick Starkey, who is in the Patreon chat as well. He said, what are some no longer available whiskeys that you wish you could have an infinite supply of? I mean, I'm anywhere between, Dusty Turkeys and pre-Fire Heaven Hills. I don't know exactly what it is you're about to say, so I'm going to let you go ahead and say it.
Age-stated Fighting Cock and Old Fitz Bottled and Bond.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Those are without a doubt, those are
dude,
it.
I miss that Old Fitz Bottled and Bond so much.
Yeah, add Elijah Craig age stated in there as well. The big red 12.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I almost pulled out my bottle last night and I was like, no, I'll save it for a little bit. But next question, Greg Reynolds. He asked, when Willett is able to release 10-year-old family estate bourbon, their own distillate, what price do you think they'll be at? 6-year barrel selects seem to be around $150 to $200, and would you be willing to pay? I'm going to work backwards on this one.
Yeah, I like the way you think of that one.
I'm going to say no. I don't feel like I would be willing to pay for it. I mean, already at $200, honestly, I'm just not that big a fan of Willett.
I'm not. And since I've started drinking bourbon, I've gone from Noah's Mill being some special treat that's just like a Reese's cup of a bourbon to every time I touch it now at a bar, I'm questioning, why did you spend X amount on a pour of this? It's not getting any better.
Yeah.
I mean, even last time that Chad and I, for his bourbon and booze meetup he did, I went to one of the restaurants that they were at, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see if I can blind him with something. And I got him a pour of Johnny Drum, and I was really curious to see, because it was a little bar out in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, that bottle's probably been around for a hot minute. If they're going to have anything that's older, it's probably this Willett. Nobody's buying Johnny Drum. Tried it. He was immediately like, this just isn't it, man. What is this? And it's just gone downhill, man. Johnny Drum's just not what he used to be, and it's the same with a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, I like the rye. I had some of the rye last night. This is actually the 3-year-old rye too, not the 4-year. But I don't mind the rye whiskey. I just think that the bourbon is really, really lackluster.
Yeah, no, I've seen some of the picks that are a little more up my alley, just based on kind of the flavor profile that they describe, but they're just not worth the price to me, man. And they move quick, man. There is a huge following for Willett.
There's an insane following for Willett. I mean, there are, of course, before COVID-19, there were people who were going and waiting outside of the distillery every Saturday to try to get whatever the, new distillery only release was.
Yeah.
And they were taking names and driver's licenses and everything. Licenses is hard to say.
Yeah. Willett to me has always been for people that like really high percentage chocolate.
Mm. Oh.
It's just like there's something that's just bitter about it that I feel like if you buy into it, you really buy into it. Like if you hand somebody some 72% chocolate and they just love it, for whatever reason, that bitterness just translates well to stuff like coffee or to Willett or just like things that have that really strong profile that I just don't tend to buy into.
Yeah. Next question comes from Ryan Jeeves. He said, what is your personal policy on selling/trading bourbons that you found at a good price but are going for lots on secondary? Example, that Little Book 3 I found for 80 had someone offer me 160 for it, but I have not had that batch yet. I am not against making some side cash / trades, but with this one, I would rather drink it. I personally would rather try what I buy. I mean, that's just how I am. I think it's more about the experience of it and everything. I honestly do whatever you want with it. I mean, I'm tired of complaining about people flipping bottles. You know, it's their own money, it's their own decisions that they've made. I just don't care.
Yeah, I think the only personal thing I have with it is I don't like when the intention on buying bourbon is intentionally to flip it. So, I mean, if you go in and I've bought bottles before where I'm like, well, I know somebody that would kind of like to have this. I'd like to split it with them. I've even sold you and Chad half bottles of things that I've enjoyed, and just kind of mark down the price accordingly. But I don't like when you see somebody in the parking lot thinking, oh, well, if I get this Michter's 25, I'm going to flip it for $4,000 in the parking lot. That just seems, I'm not a big fan of that. But I get it. It's money's money, and if there's a market for it, you can't really blame the person that's flipping the bottle, I guess, because they're holding the cash. So
yeah, absolutely. I think you should. I don't know.
It's a hard
one,
man.
And
morally, you want to be like, just drink it. It's yours. You bought it. That's what it's.
But also, I understand that people, they need to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's
no, I'd be lying if I said I hadn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I've done the same before. But it's been out of necessity. It's not been because I bought a bottle because I just wanted to make money off of it. It was just because I needed the money at the time. And honestly, I've sold a bottle that's just been sitting around for a while.
Yeah, and I will say that every time I've sold a bottle, I've sold it to somebody not for full markup, and it's always been to a person I think will actually drink it. That's also a big thing. I've sold, I got a bottle of Old Rip Van Winkle 10. I'm like, well, that's fine, but really, I'm not drinking this on a regular night. And I sold it to somebody not near full markup, and he drank it. He had a good time with it. He took it to Christmas, opened it, just had a great time. So I can't be too mad about that.
Yeah. Next question comes from our buddy Jordan Bernsdorf. He asks, what is your least favorite aspect of the bourbon hobby? Secondary prices, bottle allocation, Carol Baskin, etc. It's Carol Baskin for me.
Carol Baskin for sure.
I mean, she definitely killed her husband. Next question comes from...
We're going to get sued.
Next question comes from Don Nishida. He asked, is it rude to correct a stranger on whiskey facts during a casual conversation at a bar? The most common situation, personally, is pronunciation of Scotch, but it could apply to bourbon. Pronunciation of Scotch?
Yeah, instead of Isla, people say Islay.
Oh, okay.
Stuff like that. That's the common one. But yeah, I know what he's talking about. Basically, would you correct somebody if they're just spitting facts that are completely incorrect? Bourbon has to be from Kentucky. Would that be a trigger for you?
I am non-confrontational, but if somebody says that that bourbon has to come from Kentucky, the easiest thing to say is that bourbon is America's native spirit. It's allowed to be bourbon if it's made in any of the 50 states. Anyway, he goes on. I apologize. Scenario, you sit down and order an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and the guy next to you comments, one of my favorites. I love what they do at that Buffalo Trace place. Do you, A, nod politely, enjoy your drink, and ignore the guy? B, respond in your best Thurston Howell third voice, surely you must mean Heaven Hill, which is not my best Thurston Howell. Or C, take the opportunity to respectfully correct him and use it as an entry point into a serious discussion about whiskey until he starts making excuses to leave the bar. Oh, and I'm betting you've never heard of Thurston Howell III.
That's a great question.
I am more inclined to go with A. Personally, like I said, I'm just non-confrontational. Unless they say that bourbon can only be made in Kentucky. But I don't know. I don't.
Unless somebody's asking me a question directly, I usually just let them go with it. Like if they look at me and they're holding up some Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and they're like, "Oh, this is great! It came all the way from Buffalo Trace." I'm probably just gonna look at them and be like, "Yeah, I know, it's so good.
Good for you, buddy.
With it,
Good for you."
It's fine. It's not gonna change my day.
It's not either. The only time that I really get like serious about conversations is if somebody else brings it up, or we do it on the show, right? Like otherwise, if I'm just having a casual conversation, or if I'm at a bar, I just don't, I don't want to be that guy, and I'm definitely not gonna be that guy either.
Yeah, I think I come from like the retail perspective on that too, because people will come in and like, well, what do you recommend? And I've had people look at me and they're like, well, I usually drink like Jim Beam, so Wild Turkey 101 or something like that. And I'm like, Jim Beam? You're drinking Jim Beam Wild Turkey 101? And I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty good, and it's in a cocktail. You just roll with it, man, because customer's always right, and you just kind of go with it. So I kind of take that approach to it.
We actually have another question from Don as well. He said, and I don't know who this person is, but if Sean wrote the question, does he often refer to Swan in the third person? I thought it was a nickname, but could Swan actually be an alter ego similar to Bruce Wayne / Batman? Do you understand that?
No clue. Don't know what's going on. However, I do like the idea of being Swan Man and saving innocent people. So, might be fun.
I don't know.
Just don't kill my parents. They're doing all right.
Yeah, I don't know who this Sean guy is. Our last question, though, comes from Sam Brockman. He asks, hey, guys. Hi, Sam. If you could have foreseen the bourbon boom coming, what bourbons would you have hoarded for yourselves to drink, not for secondary? I know it'll differ by state, but here in Iowa, all the way in Iowa, favorites like Stag Jr. are highly allocated and often require a lottery, whereas 10 years ago, it was regularly on the shelf.
I'm going to give two bourbons that were different than the ones that I gave earlier, I guess. But I would probably have hoarded some Weller 107.
Yes.
And if I had to, the larger aged Elijah Craig's.
Yeah.
Like they had a 21 that they no longer make, the 18, the 23, and I think they have a 20 even. I think I would have liked to have those, or even some of the older Elijah Craig barrel proof releases in like the old pirate style bottle. I would have enjoyed those.
Yeah, no, I think Elijah Craig barrel proof is definitely the answer for me. I mean, it's easy to say Van Winkle, but shoot, man, I think that consistently the old Elijah Craig barrel proofs have been where it's at.
Yeah, if the intention is to drink it, I'm not getting any of the Van Winkles. Great, yeah. But at that point, if you're holding on to Van Winkles from 2000. 15, 14 before it kind of blew up. It's not really worth anything to me other than to flip it at that point, because it's just okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Ian says though that he's surprised that we didn't say Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. I would have liked to have more of that for sure.
It's worth saying to add that in, to be honest, but I don't know. I mean, I had the chance to buy as many of it as I wanted to. I watched 2 or 3 cases come in, and I just like, this is phenomenal, but it's had its time. I'm ready to move on.
And I mean, yeah, and I kind of feel the same way. I am happy to have a very small reserve, but to still have some. But at the same time, like, I'm okay with having Turkey 101 as my daily drinker, or Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. I mean, there's so, or T.W. Samuels. Still, I haven't talked about T.W. Samuels in a while, but I'm still happy to have that as an everyday sipper, for sure. It's always in the house, but I certainly do miss the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond for $10 a bottle, $12 a bottle. But I feel like we had our time to mourn. We moved on. So those were all the questions that we had. We are going to move into tips and bits, where we recommend some things for people. It doesn't have to be bourbon necessarily. It could be TV shows, music, podcasts, whatever. Swan, what tips and bits do you have this week?
Looking for new apartments has been an absolute mess. In all of this. So if I was going to give one tip, if you're planning on moving within the next 3 to 4 months, do it early. They go so fast. Other than just my problems with housing, honestly, just try some new riff picks, man. I got to try a new riff pick from Whole Foods, which who knew they did
really
picks? Pretty good, man. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm kind of falling in love with more and more picks, and as Ian, I'm sure, will attest, there is like this weird proof range of like 113 where it just shines, man. So, and I want to give another shout out to Hotel Tango, man. I was super impressed. I'm gonna go pick up the other one here pretty soon, I think.
I'm looking forward to trying that 6-year weeded. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat though, where like I've been so busy with work and still honestly playing Animal Crossing that I haven't had a whole lot of time to get into anything new. We're still getting caught up on What We Do in the Shadows, which has been incredibly fantastic and funny. But we have been, just getting caught up on our normal shows as well. Schooled, The Goldbergs, Bob's Burgers has been hilarious and amazing recently. We watched a whole series from Josh Gates, who is the guy behind Expedition Unknown on Discovery, where he looked into reports of aliens and UFOs and everything, and it was really quite interesting and fascinating. And I had a good few hours of watching his stuff through that. Actually, you know what? I haven't talked about this on the show. This is my recommendation for the week. How have I forgotten this? Middleditch and Schwartz. Have you watched any of that, Swan?
No.
So it's Thomas Middleditch from Silicon Valley and Ben Schwartz, who has been on a myriad of different things. But he was Jean-Ralphio on Parks and Rec.
I think this was your tips and bits like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Even if it was, I only watched one episode.
Yeah.
But like I finally finished. It was only 3 episodes, but the second episode, and it's all stand up. They don't script anything, whatever. The second episode, I was trying so hard not to wake Lucy up while I was laughing. And I'm probably going to go back and watch it again tonight. I thought it was that good. There's been a great following behind it as well. So if you've not watched it, it's on Netflix. Who doesn't have a Netflix subscription at this point? Honestly.
Yeah, especially during all this.
Yeah. So go and watch that for sure. Drink some bourbon while you're doing it and support craft distilleries. We're going to talk definitely some more about craft distilleries here in the future. That does it for this week's episode, though. Thank you all so much for listening, as always, and for downloading and sharing with your friends, leaving reviews and comments and everything. Swan, thank you, as always, for being here and doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun. I'm looking forward to what we're about to have, too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we got a little bit more. We're not entirely done yet. So Patreon, you can hang out with us for a little bit. But where can people find you on social media, Swan?
I'm at My Bourbon Finder on Facebook and Instagram.
And that's it for you. I am at pritter1492 on all social media channels. You can follow the show at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review on the iTunes podcast app, which again really does help us out. It pushes the content up to new listeners. Anybody who is searching for Bourbon podcast rather, not Burden podcasts. Gosh, could you imagine? This is my Burden podcast. It's just 2 hours of us complaining about what we have going on in our lives.
Yeah,
no, I'm not a fan.
I'm good without that.
Not a fan of that idea. You can find all of our apparel and merchandise at bourbonshop.threadless.com. You can also leave us a voicemail for our barrel ring segment at 859-428-8253. We'll listen to it on the show, and then we'll respond to your questions or comments. I'm going to throw this out here for next week's episode. What is your favorite craft distillery and why? And maybe we'll talk about it on the show, and it would be a great way for us to get into some more craft distilleries as well. So again, that's 859-428-8253. Let us know what your favorite craft distillery is, and if we should get into it. And then last but not least, you become a patron of the show at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $8 a month. You can help keep the lights on in the studio. I feel like this light bulb's about to blow out here soon. So I definitely literally need more light for the studio. And eventually, this is going to become the baby room. This is going to be the nursery. But we have space reserved for the new studio. Swan, I haven't even told you this. We're going to be converting the garage into our studio space. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
And if you need a temporary fix, I actually now have a studio space as well coming up.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah,
okay.
It's going to be fun, man.
That's... I'm not upset about that by any means. But we appreciate everybody who supports the show financially every month. Again, $1 a month is the lowest you can support us at. $2 you get some exclusive posts. $5 you get exclusive audio content like the bonus episodes and the pregame chats. And then on up from there, there are many different tiers and rewards for being a supporter of the show. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's episode. We will see you next week, but until then, I'm Perry.
And I'm Swan.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.